After analyzing over 2 million in ad spend for ourselves and clients, here's how to actually write headlines that get buyer clicks based on real world results. So timestamps below, along with some other helpful links and resources, including a link to our Google Ads playbook to help shortcut the process of finding keywords and of course, help you with your own headline writing. Now, as we dive into headlines, let's quickly go over the main components of your ad. And of course, we start at the top with your headline, and this is going to be where you call out specific benefits or roadblock breakers or results, or just simply say what it is that you offer. And this is going to be the most important part because this is what everybody reads. And then less important, but a opportunity to kind of skirt around the restrictions that Google has is your URL path 1 and 2. And so what I like doing here is leveraging phrases like discount or creating some sort of urgency. Generally, you can sometimes say things in your URL path that wouldn't fly in the headline or description. But of course, I'm in no way, shape, or form saying that you should try pushing the envelope, just saying sometimes we found that some things seem to slip through. And then finally, we have the description, which we could talk about, but really nobody reads it. Like really, by the time we get to the description, you're just reinforcing whatever was in the headline. And then of course you have your ad assets or extensions. So if you're wondering like, why are we talking about assets? I thought these were extensions. Google just renamed it because they felt like it. So anytime you see ad asset, that's just code for extensions because they've changed the name. And so that's a quick overview of the different components of your ad. And of course your headline is really, really what you want to focus on. And when it comes to writing headlines, you're going to provide Google with anywhere from 3 to 15, although I'll get to why you shouldn't give them 15 in one go. And as you can see from these examples, it just kind of rotates through different combinations of whatever it is that you give them. And so you're not necessarily going to know what order or how many headlines Google uses. But when you're going through the writing process of headlines, you do want to essentially visualize what you think the ideal headlines would look like. And that makes sure you give Google a good combination of different things to test. Because the last thing we want is to give Google 15 headlines, but 5 of them are pretty much the same thing, said a different way. And so to do that, we'll use some simple formulas. So we'll kick things off with position 1. Now we could have top best service location. We could have profession location. We could use squiggly brackets for something called dynamic insertion. Get to that in a moment. And then we could talk about our front end offer, or we could identify whoever this is for. And then in position 2 and 3, you're going to use some combination of talking about results, breaking roadblocks for them, so handling objections to them clicking or doing business with you, and then finally talking about benefits of your offer. Now, of course, this probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but the good news is there's a very simple exercise you can go through called the reality gap to quickly find all of the roadblocks, results, and benefits, and of course, identify who your ideal customer is. So let's go ahead and jump into that now. So the first thing we want to do is identify who we're trying to sell to, right? So this could, let's say we have a small business owner. It could be an aspiring artist, runner, swimmer, homesteader, work from home mom, right? So fill in the blank with whoever it is that you're servicing, right? And of course, you do also want to make sure that we're talking about who is actually paying, right? So target the person who, at the end of the day, who's whipping out their credit card, right? So if you were, let's say, a dentist and you wanted more adolescent or kid clients, we'd write it for the parents, not necessarily for the kids. Probably self-explanatory, but let's go ahead and move on. So let's say we identify how we're going to call out who we specifically help, and then we want to think about what do they want? So let's say the small business owner here, they want to spend less time in their business. The artist wants to have their own, gala or gallery. And then let's say the homesteader is looking to be completely off grid. The runner swimmer's training for a triathlon, right? And so these are really high surface level, but after 10 or 15 minutes of just thinking about what do they actually want, you're going to have some really good ideas for your headlines. And then we want to take it a step further, because once someone knows what they want, that little voice in the back of their head is going to start saying all the reasons why they can't get it, or why they can't afford it, why they don't have enough experience, time, money, energy, ability, whatever it may be. And of course, you can always pause if you want to read through these. But the point here is that you want to think about what do they think is getting in the way of the results that they want. And of course, your product or service hopefully breaks all these down, right? But we have to communicate that. We have to be able to say, hey, I don't know whatever your zoning laws is if you want to be a homesteader, but we can help you work around that. Or the artist who thinks they need more artwork to have their own showing, or the triathlete the aspiring triathlete, I should say, who's never ridden a bike before, right? So every person who's walking through your door as a customer, they have a list of things. And so we want to be able to address that in your headlines. And so another way to think of this is a kind of generic list. You want more time, more energy, more freedom, and you think that you probably have experience problems. You don't have enough time, you don't have enough energy. And so if you think of time, energy, experience, limited resources, whatever it may be, you'll be able to come up with a pretty comprehensive list of results that your ideal customers are after and roadblocks they think are getting in their way. So let's say we're a Facebook ads agency. Would be a really quick, rough overview of results that our customers are after, which is they want their ads to work and bring them more clients, and roadblocks that are getting in their way. They think they might have to start over. They don't have enough money. That something else is getting in the way, like their type of business just doesn't work on Facebook, which is probably not the case, but whatever it may be, we just want to have a list like this at the end of the day. And then we can start plugging them into our headline formulas. And so with this simple list, you're going to be able to start to empathize and call out to your ideal customers in a way your competitors definitely haven't bothered to do. Because let's face it, most of your competitors, they just went to Google, typed in and looked at the current ads, and then wrote their own versions without really giving it a second thought, which is why their ads aren't working and yours will. Now, there's one more element that you probably want to consider including in the rotation of your ad headlines, and that's going to be the benefits of your offer, not the feature, because nobody cares about features. Everybody cares about benefits. They care about what it does for them and what they get to enjoy at the end of the day, not necessarily the mechanism of how it gets there, right? So if we go back to our dentist example, nobody really cares about the equipment that you have in your dental office, right? If you got the new X, 5000, that's not going to mean anything to somebody. But if it results in painless root canal or, quicker recovery from whatever tooth problem there is, I should probably stop talking about teeth. Nobody likes looking at other people's mouths except for dentists and hygienists. Then those things would matter because that machine allows you to make the process less painful or shorten the recovery, right? So let's go ahead. Let's use a different example. All right. So this is how you could do it. List out all of the cool things about your product or service, right? So these are going to be your features. And then we're going to use the magical phrase, so we can translate our features into the language of our customers, which is benefits, right? And so in this particular example, we have, let's say we're offering someone we have a free lead magnet about how to be more successful with Facebook ads, right? So we're going to use how to, but it could be whatever it is for your product or service. So our offer shows them how to allocate their budget, find the right audience, calculate return on ad spend, and write better ads, right? Okay, so this is all the stuff that it does for them or helps them do. And then we use so we can translate it into why they care. So you can write better ads so you eliminate wasteful ad spend because they want to stop wasting their ads, or they want more consistency in their lead flow, or they want to be able to scale their campaigns. They want their budget to go further, right? So when someone is trying to be more successful with Facebook ads and we're trying to write a Google ad to get them to click on our ad and download our free offer and do business with us, we don't want to talk about budgeting and writing better ads. We want to talk about the end result that they want, which is more customers, right? And less wasted ad spend. And so you can take that list of results and roadblocks, who your ideal customer is, and those benefits. It'll probably take you 10 or 15 minutes. You're going to have way more than you know what to do with. And then you can head over to the Google Ads interface, or you can use the playbook linked up in the description to begin to brainstorm how you would put these together. So again, here's a quick little overview of the different ad formulas and how you can put these together. And even though Google's going to rotate these, you do want to go ahead and write your headlines as if you had all three 3 in a row. And this is really going to help you understand how to take all that information you just created and put it in a format that works within a Google ad. Yes, this process is a little messy, but it's going to be a lot faster than just staring at a blank page trying to figure out what on earth your ad should look like. So here's an example of some of the ad headline formulas we like to use. And as you use these headline formulas, you always want to write out your headlines before jumping into the ads interface. And so you'll notice with one of these, of course, we're going to talk about results, roadblocks, benefits of our offer, just be descriptive with our offer, identify who our ideal customer is. But then one of these you'll see has squiggly lines, and this is going to be dynamic keyword insertion. So when it comes to setting up dynamic keyword insertion, we'll go through detailed on how to do that. You essentially just put some squiggly brackets in, and Google's going to detect that. You go through a couple settings, give them a default headline, and you're good to go, right? So that's the super short version. Anyway, we'll go through that in more detail. For now, here's an example of how this winds up working. So let's say someone is searching for Facebook ads management. And in our campaign, we have the keyword Facebook ads manager. Well, when our ad shows up and they're looking at all the different ads that showed up for Facebook Ads Management Company, our ad headline can say Facebook Ads Manager. And so is it exactly what they typed in? No, but it's very, very close. And this is also why it's so important to use very tightly related keywords in your ad groups so that you can use techniques like these to really have your ad headline stand out and be very specific to whoever's doing the search. And as cool as it would be if we could put their exact search phrase into our headline, it probably wouldn't work out too well, especially if they misspelled something. And even Google isn't that creepy, so at least we know they have a line somewhere. So let's go ahead, jump into the next part, which is you can actually add phrases in front or behind the keyword. So here's some examples of phrases you might add in front or behind your keyword. Of course, you could easily spend hours on this, but I recommend just set a timer for like 20, 30 minutes when you're writing your headlines for the first time and you're using this technique. And then after that, just say, okay, whatever I have is good enough. It's enough for Google to test, because you could really get overly obsessive using this. And so here's some examples of what these might look like. And of course, all these phrases are really short, because if for whatever reason your search phrase is too long for the headline, then Google's just going to use the default that's inside those squiggly line brackets. And so let's go ahead, jump into the interface, and I'll show you quickly how to actually set this up. So we're looking at our ads right here, right? So let's say we've gone in, we've already done our keywords, we're ready to start working on our ads. And then under the headline, we can just click headline here. We'll click and we'll enter the squiggly bracket, and then Google will say, oh, you're trying to do the squiggly bracket. You can also do these inside of descriptions, by the way, but I think that's just way too much work. And we'll go and click on keyword insertions. We'll select title case. And then in here, we can go ahead and put in our default headline. So if for whatever reason, dynamic insertion doesn't work because there's too many characters, or it just doesn't trigger because Google doesn't feel like it, then this is the headline that will show up instead. And once we have that, we can go ahead and click on apply. And then you can also optionally come in here, click this little pin icon, and then you could say only show in position 1. And so that way, when their keyword's being inserted, it always shows up in position 1. This is one of the few times where you probably want to do this with your first round of ad testing. And that's simply because it will probably make way more sense for their keyword to be in front versus like the last part of their phrase, right? Especially if you're following our keyword formulas in that Google Ads playbook linked up in the description, it's going to be a lot easier and make a heck of a lot more sense to whoever's actually seeing your ads. Now, once you've gone through the process of writing out your headlines, playing with dynamic keyword insertion, you should have plenty of content and ideas for the rest of your ad, because really focusing on that headline is the most important part. So we'll quickly go through the other two main elements. So the next part of your ad is going to be your URL path. So this is, again, a great opportunity to talk about urgency, maybe make some bold claims or promises, although I say that with a giant asterisk. You technically are not allowed to make a promise or make any sort of guarantee. So be very careful with that. You want to make sure that you're not saying you're definitely going to be cured of XYZ, right? Like that's a no in Google's eyes, or you're definitely going to make money. Definitely can't do that. How many times am I going to say definitely? So I just don't want your account to be banned or you to like misconstrue that, oh yeah, well, Jason said it was okay to try that out. I'm going to push the envelope. Yeah, no. If you feel like you're pushing the envelope, then just don't. So that's your headline. I've spent way too much time on that. Headline, URL path. So I'm getting a little tired. And then we'll go ahead and jump into your description. Now, your description, while it's not going to be read by very many people, is a good opportunity to reinforce whatever's in your headline. Now, you might be thinking, well, how do I do that if I don't know exactly what the headline is? And that's a great question. So when you're going through writing out your headlines, one of the things that I like to do when we're working on client accounts is I'll just take a 3 headline combo that I really like, and I'll write what I think is the perfect description for that headline. Google's going to mix and match, but that's okay. When you're writing things out, make sure that you stay organized and sane, because the algorithm will go do its thing, right? It's going to try and figure out the best combination. All you can do is give it what you think are good combinations. And of course, inside of your descriptions, you're going to talk about breaking roadblocks, talk about results, and of course, talk about benefits as well. And so that's all you need to do with the last 2 components of your ad. And once you have that, you're ready to jump back into the interface and actually publish your ad. Or if you have already been running campaigns for a while, maybe you take this and you use it on some of the campaigns you already have, in addition to whatever campaign you're setting up right now. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you got some value out of this video. Most importantly, you have all the tools you need to write some awesome headlines for your Google ads. Make sure you check out that link in the description to the Google Ads playbook to help you with this process, of course, staying organized and brainstorming ideas. So hit that like button, subscribe for more Google Ads guides just like this one. And until the next, keep building the business you love.